Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome back to the Engine Builder Show. Before we start, I want to ask you a question. As an entrepreneur, do you know the greatest investment that you can make right now? Well, if you don't, Gabe will be sharing that with us on today's episode. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and enjoy the show. Good morning, everybody.
There was always a ton to learn. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking time to tune in. I appreciate you supporting the show and listening in. So whether you're catching it live, watching it later, or get to listen on one of the many podcast hosts we're on, appreciate you. And over the past few weeks, we've talked about the three pillars of marketing that we talk a lot about here at Business Marketing Engine, which is DCT, which stands for destinations, content, and traffic. And this week, we're going to talk about the mindset that it requires to be successful as an entrepreneur, successful in your marketing, and just really successful in the long run. And as Jethro mentioned, I believe that there's always a lot, there's a lot of different things pulling for our attention as entrepreneurs. There's plenty of people that will come to you and say, this is the latest tool you need to invest in, or if you're not in crypto, then you're crazy, or you should really be in real estate, or there's all these things that people are going to tell you from an investment standpoint that you should be involved in. And while all of those things have their merits, I'm not going to speak about any of those because you can't be a successful or effective in investing in those things unless you make the first and most important investment as an entrepreneur, and that is investing in yourself, because that's truly how you're going to grow your business. And so that's what we're going to talk about a lot this week is investing in yourself, the mindset required to be a successful entrepreneur. And I'm just going to kind of walk you through the approach that I take. And even just the fact that you take time to listen into the show is a huge indicator that you are interested in growing and being successful and investing in yourself. And so for me, one of the things that I continually invest in is I actually work on my process of learning and growing, because if I perfect that process, that's what really allows me to grow and scale in the long run. And so I would encourage you to create a process where you're consistently investing in, learning new things, planning planning the next season of your business, which is typically effective in 90-day stretches each quarter, executing consistently on what you plan to do, and then reviewing what's working and starting a new cycle. And doing that same thing again. I've definitely learned a lot of that over the years as an entrepreneur. I've learned from some awesome entrepreneurs and coaches that I've had in my life, which we're going to be talking more about a couple of them later this week. But regardless of how you get there, the mindset and the intention of saying, I'm going to be active in learning and growing. I'm going to apply what I learn. I'm going to take time to learn or to review what I've applied. And taking time to be consistent in how you plan really impacts how you execute. A friend of mine, George Bryan, always says business is a lot simpler than we try to make it. We overcomplicate things. And I definitely agree with that, because when I look at really successful seasons in my entrepreneurial journey, when I'm speaking to clients who've been really successful, they found a way to keep kind of that beginner's mind. And they found a way to keep, doing what worked from the beginning and just optimizing and improving that, instead of starting with a super complex model with all these pieces all over the place that you have to coordinate and figuring out the fastest path of how to solve a problem for your customer and how to serve them at the highest level is always going to serve you well. And so I would encourage you today to ask yourself a handful of questions to really just evaluate where things stand for you. And our goal is not to try to be like somebody else, but our goal is to improve ourselves. And so the first question to ask yourself is, how many books have you read or listened to this year? For a season, I would track the book I read, apply what I learned in the book, and then measure, at a close estimate, I would measure how much revenue or results or what impact each business book or each, communication book or psychology book I read, because all of those things really impact the business. And I found that for every book I read or listened to, my average, my minimum that I made from reading and applying a book was $50,000. So it's always an interesting investment for me to share with people, because you spend, 10, 20 bucks on a book. I have spent $300 to $400 to $500 on books before, but even, with spending, a couple $100, I still get a massive return on investment. And most of the time I'm spending 10 or 20 bucks, listen to a book, apply some of the things that apply to my business, customize the information to me. And then I get a huge lift, a huge return on investment for my time and for the actual dollars I spent on that book. And so ask yourself, how many books have I actually read or listened to this year? And then if you benchmark that, you can say, okay, we're a little over half the year in right now. How can I increase that? Because I think most of us are not intentional about the things that we choose to learn. It's easier to just go off our Facebook feed or read what's in our inbox or things like that. But if we're intentional in seeking out new information and then we apply it, the sky's the limit in my experience of what we can do. The second thing to ask yourself as far as what investments you can make over the coming year, next 12 months, is what are 1 or 2 events that you can go to that will help you invest in your network, build new relationships, and also level up your knowledge of a specific focus area. The reason I say 1 or 2 is because it's so easy to become a junkie on anything and get out of balance and out of harmony in our business. And so I see some folks who go to events every month or two, and it becomes a distraction from running their business. And then I see some other people who will go to 1 or 2 events and learn everything they can, build some good relationships and apply it, and they skyrocket their business. So I would encourage you to be intentional about choosing a couple events, but also be careful that you don't unintentionally get on this cycle of just going to the next fun experience, because that can definitely slow your growth if you're not being really careful and strategic about how you invest in events and how you apply what you're learning there. The third question to ask yourself today is, how can I get new experiences under my belt each quarter? And when I think about this question, it reminds me of something that a longtime friend and my longest standing business coach, Doug, shared with me. He said, there are seasons in our life as leaders, as entrepreneurs, when it's important to expand outside of our normal type of experiences, because it will help us grow as a person. It'll make us wiser in business. It'll just give us a lot of resources. And so a few years ago, I got involved with a nonprofit organization that helps people re-enter society after they've been incarcerated. And it just brought such an incredibly, broad perspective to my life, even though I've had friends and family members who have gone through that type of thing, to see a lot of different people in their experience and hear their stories and find ways to just serve and help them. It really helped me expand my experience. So that was an interesting experience that helped me in business and led to some really productive, positive things in my personal life and in my business life. And so when you're thinking about how can I get more experience, just widen up your perspective and open up your imagination and think, okay, how can I get more experiences in business? How can I get more personal experiences? What things can I volunteer for and go do? And there's so many benefits from that, because you gather that experience, knowledge, you meet new people, but also if you're intentional about how you do that, it can give you an opportunity to step back and give some responsibility and control to your team members in a healthy way. And when you are out of the business, there is a just huge potential for the business to grow more successfully when you step back like that. It creates health. It creates health in yourself, health in the business. It creates some good boundaries. And so seeking out both professional experiences and personal experiences is going to bring a lot of perspective to how you operate your business. And the fourth question, which I'm going to dive into this a little bit more later this week, is ask yourself, what planning and review system do I have in place? Because too often it's easier for us as entrepreneurs. I've done this, and I've seen plenty of entrepreneurs that I've worked with over the years do this. We just put our heads down and we work and work and work and we stay busy, but we unintentionally could be going the wrong direction because we're not taking time to plan, execute, and then review. Or we get stuck in place and we're spinning our wheels for the same reason. We're not planning, executing, and then reviewing and saying, oh, like these couple things were working well, but these other couple things were actually sending me backwards. I was making less per hour, or I was, not as profitable as I should have been. And so when we take time to be intentional about those things, it allows us to really invest wisely and grow our businesses. And so I would ask yourself those questions today, and just maybe all 4 of them resonate and there's something you can apply from them, or maybe there's just one of them that if you take away today and you apply, it's going to help you really figure out how you can invest more in yourself, because the more you grow, the more effective you are as a leader, the more powerful and profitable you can be as an entrepreneur, And ultimately, these things are going to snowball and compound, and that consistency over time is what's going to make the difference for you. So I hope that's helpful for you today. Appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's show.